Today I am going to just be feeding my starter. I'm not baking anything today, so I will be needing to discard some of my starter before I can feed it. So as you can see, there is a slight film on the top, and so I'm just going to simply I'm going to discard into the garbage can down to about probably ½ inch left in the jar. I'll weigh it also, knowing that I want to keep usually about 100 grams of starter before I feed it in my 1:1 ratio. So as you can see, there is probably about an inch of starter left in there. You can see the active bubbles down there at the bottom. You'll see some cakiness that dries up. So your sourdough will mine more than doubles in size and sometimes comes to the top and then it'll sink back down. This hard, crusty stuff. I usually clean this jar about once a week. Make sure that when you are cleaning your jar, your utensils, everything, you wipe off as much discard or starter as possible. Do not put it down your drain. It will create cement in your drain. So I did weigh, I've got about 100 grams of starter in there. I know what my jar weighs, so then I know how much starter I have in here. I'm going to zero out my scale, and then I'm going to pour water in first. So I'm just gonna make sure I zeroed out my scale. I'm gonna pour in about 100 grams of water, 114. So since I did 114 grams of water, I will make sure that when I do my flour that I also do 114 grams. So I'm just gonna take my stir stick and I'm gonna stir it. As you can see, it's a milky consistency. Just want to make sure that you can get as much of that starter dissolved in the water as possible. So I just start like this. Once I feel like it's pretty mixed in, then we can do our flour. So again, just make sure you zero out your scale. And then as far as feeding your starter, you want to use I use organic all-purpose flour. Doesn't really matter what brand. I get mine from Costco. My bread flour is the organic bread flour, also from Costco. Just gonna keep adding that in until we get to our 100 grams. 114, since that's how much water I put in. There we go. All right, and now we're just gonna take it and we're gonna stir it like this, and I will show you what it looks like at the end. I do actually wanna make sure that you can see, as I'm mixing it, you can see it's very lumpy, so I wanna make sure and get that off my stick and push the sides down. Really incorporating all that fresh flour with that starter and water. And you will be able to mix it until it becomes pretty smooth. It's pretty incredible how the lumps kind of just start to dissipate as you're mixing it in and scraping the sides. I always make sure not to get any of that crust that's at the top down in there, because that can kind of create some chunks when you then go to use your starter. Something you can always pick out as well. But we're almost done. Again, kind of just pressing those sides in to make sure all that dough get down to the bottom also. So depending how much starter you have in the jar, some people like to have smaller amounts. I just usually, when I bake, I use about 125 grams of starter, so I like to make sure that I have that and then some in my jar at all times. Now, if I did want to put this to sleep, this would be the time that I would do it. So I would feed it, and then I would, instead of putting on my little shower cap, I would screw on a jar lid to close it up so that no air gets in, and then stick it in the fridge. The longest I've kept mine in the fridge for is a week. Once you do take it out of the fridge, I usually discard right away, feed it, let it sit at room temperature for usually 6 to 8 hours. Is about the length of time, at least in my house at 73 degrees, for it to begin to grow and double in size and be ready to bake with again. So there we go. I'm just gonna kind of let that drip for a second. And then as you can see, it is nice and creamy. And then just gonna make sure that my little marker is here. Mine's at 75 degrees is what my starter's at. Yeah, I'm just gonna have it like that. I'm gonna wipe down the sides a little bit more, but that is how to feed your starter and take care of it.